Hi, I'm Callum from Tyne Valley Motorhomes, and this is a handover video of a Malibu T430. So starting the walk round on the driver's side of the motorhome first, the first point you get to is your habitation door. So your habitation door does work off the central lock and key, which is the Fate key, which is the bottom button there to open the back door, or you can open it manually using the habitation key, which opens all the locks around the motorhome on the outside of the vehicle. So in here you've got a wet storage locker, so if you want to put your leveling ramps and your hookup leads in here, this is easily wiped out because it's got a plastic finish, and you do have the pipe, so it is a bit warm in here as well. So if you want to put bits and pieces in there that you don't want to keep inside the van, you can put them in there. You've got a fridge vent, as well as having an awning light and an awning above the driver's door. This vent here, which says Truma, is your Truma vent for your heating and hot water system when operating on gas. It operates on both sources, gas and mains electric. However, on mains electric you get no fumes, but on gas you do, because you're burning gas, of course. So just make sure it's obstruction free and nothing's touching it, and nothing will get burned or damaged on the side of the van. And always make sure it has restriction of airflow. Here you do have your hookup point, so to hook the vehicle up, you get your hookup lead, lift the collar, hook the van up first, then the sight, and do it in reverse order when unhooking the vehicle. You can be hooking it up at home to charge it before you go away and pre-chill your fridge, or you can be doing it on a site, but just make sure that you're always unhooking the vehicle once you've disconnected the live lead from the house or the site. In here you've got your garage. So we've fitted a solar panel. So this is your MPPT, which is your dual battery solar charger controller. And on here you can see the voltage that it's bringing in. So you just leave the solar panel to do its own thing, but if you did want to set it priority wise, you can change it there, but that is just charging the one battery, being the leisure battery. You've got a large bit of storage in the garage, as well as a external shower point. So if you have come off the beach and you want to hose your shoes down, the dogs, the kids, the bikes, you can just use the shower head. It is hot and cold, but you've got to have had the hot water system on for the hot water to work, because it isn't just instant hot water. The boiler does have to have hot water in it. Auto winding handles here, which is clipped onto the back wall, and you do have lights. So making sure the control panel's on, which it's not at the moment. You will get 12 volt this light, and you can turn it on and off at the top here. On the back panel, you do have your integrated reverse camera above the high level brake light, and then this customer, which isn't standard, we've added this, is the cameras on the top. So you've got two additional cameras, one being rear view for when driving forward and one being reverse. As well, we fitted parking sensors across the bottom of the vehicle, so they are an option that your dealer would fit. They don't come standard from Malibu with the parking sensors on. Another door for the garage, but you've also got this side LPG, so liquid petroleum gas. So normally you would have to supply gas bottles for your own vehicle. However, this customer has opted for the refillable gas bottle, which is a gas low system. So the gas low system means you can go to your local LPG filling station that sells LPG, and you can put your filler onto there, connect it, bayonet fitting, so it pushes in, twists, and you pull the trigger back, and then you'll be able to press and hold the display. There'll be a button on the display to press and hold, and then simply when it stops, it's full, you can disconnect and put your cap back on. So normally from empty these take about £25 to fill, and this is an 11 kilogram gas low bottle. To turn the bottle off when you're travelling, you've got a plus and a minus on here, so you can turn it off and turn it back on when you arrive on your site, always making sure that you do turn it off when you travel. and on the top of the bottle you can see how full the gas system is. So if it's empty, you can refill it, or if it's getting low, you can top it up. But if you're planning on going on the continent, these are a lot better than carrying standard conventional bottles, because you can get LPG almost everywhere abroad. If you did want to connect a standard bottle though, however, there's a pigtail on here, and you need to turn this over. So you've got a little nib here, and that indicates what bottle it's on. So at the minute it's on the front bottle, which isn't connected, or you can turn it back to the back bottle, which is connected. So you can connect a standard bottle there. So if you did want to use the pigtail, it's left to tighten, right to loosen, opposite ways with it being gas. Nip it up with a spanner, turn the bottle on. Once you've turned the bottle on, press this black button in, which is a crash valve, and it allows the gas flow into the vehicle. And then last of all, you do have your crash valve. So if this pops out, this yellow, you need to push it back in, and that is this on here. So it's a 10-second reset. Filling the vehicle with water. So if you are going on a trip and you want to stop and use your own toilet, only tend to travel with a maximum of 20 litres, because this will give you the added weight for your payload, because you don't want your payload to go out the window because you're carrying 100 litres of water. And then when you arrive on your site, you can top it back up, or just top it up on your site. Put your key in, you can unlock this, hose flat end into the van, carry a hose pipe with some hose pipe fittings, as it's mainly just a brass tap that the site provides. So you'll need a few different ends to connect to the site's tap. This locker is your toilet. So you'd lift and slide the toilet out. This has a ventilation system on, so you need to disconnect the SOG. And there's a little cap which goes on here, which again is an extra. That pulls out. Then you've got your cassette out, so you can either carry it or you can wheel it to the waste disposal point. And then when you're ready to empty, you remove the cap. Put the cap to one side. Start to pour the contents down the disposal point, which is normally beside your toilet block. Press the button, allows a bit of air in, gives it a consistent flow, stops it glugging. Pour it out. Normally a tap there, a little bit of water, quick rinse, tip out again. Then you'd put your chemical into here, about 120 ml into there, and it's good to go back into the van. And then all you need to do is take the blanking plate out of the spout there, push it back in, and connect your ventilation system back up into there. Large amount of storage in here. You've also got your water pump in there, so the water pump has a filter on, which is just here, that you might want to remove when you winterize the van, just to stop it holding water, because it's just plastic. So once you have drained both fresh and waste out, open the boiler, open the taps, and turn the pump on for approximately 10 seconds to blow any water out of the system, you can come in, get a cloth or a tea towel and just unscrew this cap, just so that any water in there doesn't freeze when winterizing the motorhome. And always make sure you put it on before you start using the vehicle again. But you do have some storage in here. You can see that it's through loading, so you can see that there is sections in the floor. That is your boiler drain in there, but we'll explain more about that when we're getting through the floor in the vehicle. And it is heated, as you do have a heating duct running through your double floor. Coming to the passenger door, and you want to fill the vehicle with diesel. So the diesel filling requires the main fade the cathode key, because it's a lockable diesel cap. And then underneath you've got AdBlue, because it's a new style diesel engine. It takes 19 litres of AdBlue, and it'll do a full 5,500 miles on a full 19 litres. But it will indicate on the dash once it's getting low. Once you've covered around 4,000 miles, you've got around 1,500 miles left to go, it'll put a light on. And it's all that you need to do is you either buy it in the drums, or you can buy it on the pump. I would personally buy it on the pump, because it's around £1.20 a litre, This takes 19 litres, whereas if you buy it in the containers, some places will charge you £30 for a full 10 litres. So all you need to do is take the cap off and pour it in. Once it starts to overflow, it is full. But on the screen, on the clocks, it will tell you when the AdBlue is required. You do have your tyre pressures here, so 5.5 bar, 79.5 psi, and your tyre size there, front and back. Underneath the passenger seat you can find all your 12 volt fuses, so if there's ever a problem with 12 volt, it's going to be a fuse. So carry a spare pack of fuses which you can buy off eBay or Amazon or any car place with you, just in case a fuse does blow. You can pick it out, check it, if it is blown you can replenish the fuse. And that's your electric block unit. Underneath the cab floor is where your engine battery lives, and pulling the bonnet release on the side of the passenger dashboard, underneath the bonnet you've got all your fluids. The main fluid you're going to need is your screen wash, which is here. Then lifting the 3 tabs up, and this part of the scuttle comes off, you can fill your coolant and your brake fluid. There is no power steering as it's electronic steering rack now, and there's no dipstick because you can view your levels for your oil through the dashboard. So you can fill the oil here, but you can't pull a dipstick to check how much oil you've got left in. If you ever get a flat battery or you're wanting to jump something off the motorhome, this is the earth for giving or receiving a jump start. So your black clip would go on there, and then between the air filter behind the passenger headlight, if you put your key or a screwdriver in here and lift this up, so a key goes into there, that lifts up, that is your positive for giving or receiving a jump start. Now on board the vehicle, to operate your 12 volt control panel, if you're hooked up you'll get this light here, which means you're receiving mains 230 volt. However, if you're not hooked up, you will only get 12 volt off your leisure battery, which is underneath your passenger seat behind your electric block unit. Turn the vehicle on and off. Turn your pump on, making sure you've got enough water on board first. Music, you can turn on your television and radio fitted to the vehicle. Lights inside the motorhome, so this is your MOS switch for your lights, and then coming down this side you've got all your levels. So you've got your battery at the front of the van, which is your vehicle battery, wastewater level, freshwater level, and then you've got your leisure battery. Take the Hookup out to get a true reading of your leisure battery, otherwise you will get a false reading because the charger is putting an input into the battery. So to operate your digital Truma CP control panel, to turn the system on and off, you press and hold to turn it off, press it once to turn it on and it'll come on, and then to get into the menu you just press it once. You'll notice you've got a thermometer in a van flashing at the top corner. If you press enter, this is how hot you want your vehicle. So you've got all the way off in the summer when you don't want the heating, or you've got all the way to 30 degrees in the winter when it's very cold. So once you're happy, so if we say 27 degrees there, that's how hot I want the inside of the motorhome to be, I'd press enter, and that'll save that at 27 degrees. Now you've got a thermometer in some water, this is how hot you want your water. So if you don't have any water on board, you'd have it on off. 40 degrees for showering, 60 degrees for doing your dishes, but it's entirely up to yourself how hot you want your water. Or you've got boost, which will turn off your heating and prioritize your water first. But for this we'll just say 60 degrees because we want the heating to run along with the water. Next you've got what source you're heating the water and the vehicle off. So you've got gas, so make sure your gas bottle's on and it's turned on. You've got mix 1, which is 750 watts of electric and gas. You've got mix 2, which is 1850 watts of electric plus gas. So you'd use mix 2 in the winter. If you're away and it was really cold, use a mix 2 will boost the vehicle up to temperature because you're using both sources together. Then you can turn it over to electric. So you've got electric 750 watts EL1, and you've got EL2, which is 1850 watts of electric. Don't waste your gas if you're on a site, unless you're away and it's really cold and you're using mix 2 for the first 10-15 minutes. Then allow electric to continue to heat the motorhome and maintain the temperature. Because if you're on a site, you've paid your site fees after all, you'll not want to waste your gas. Then you've got your fan in the top right hand corner. So eco or high or boost. This is just a 12 volt assisted fan. So eco will use less 12 volt. High obviously uses more fan speed, so it's going to use a little bit more 12 volt. And boost uses full power on the fan, which is going to use the most out of the 12 volt battery. Sleep with it on eco because it's a lot quieter than sleeping with it on anything else. If you're going to sleep with the heating on in the winter, you've got a timer so you can time the heating to come on and off, just the once though. Clock in the middle, and then spanner. You can go all the way down to reset, and to reset the control panel, if you ever get a warning triangle in the middle, reset, preset, click again, and it will restart your control panel. And then to turn off, press and hold, and it'll say off, and it'll completely turn itself off. So underneath this section of floor, when you come in, if you lift the catch up, you've got 3 valves underneath the floor. You've got your wastewater, so you turn that to get rid of the water that you've used, shower water, dishes water, hand basin water. You would never want to travel around with that unless you've been wild camping. If you're on a site, pull as close to the grid, open it up, and underneath it'll drop out underneath the chassis. Next one you do have is your freshwater drain down lines. So in the winter, when you've opened the boiler, which is the one we're going to get onto in a moment, you want to open that just to eliminate any water in the lines of the vehicle hot water system. And then to drain off the boiler itself, so this is a anti-frost valve, this here. So at 3 degrees, the button at the bottom will automatically pop out and allow the water that's in the boiler, which is 10 litres at a time, to drain out and not freeze. However, never become 100% reliant on it, because if it ever faults over the ownership or the lifespan of the vehicle, you're in for an expensive mistake. So always check it, or do it yourself. If you want to manually open it, all you need to do is turn the diamond on the top. The button will pop out and you'll hear the water draining directly out underneath the van. To stop this, turn the diamond and push the button in. Once the button stays in, it will shut the valve off and the boiler will be able to fill itself with 10 litres. However, if you are using it in the winter and you've winterized it, and you are now wanting the odd weekend away at the spur of the moment, and the button won't stay in, best thing to do is either heat it up with a hairdryer, push the button in, or put the heating on. Because there's a heater pipe just here, 10-15 minutes this area will get warm, push the button in, the button should stay in. But it's just designed to drain off the water reacting to the temperature when not in use. But it tells you all about 3 valves here. To operate the Dometic fridge, so this fridge is quite a large slimline fridge with freezer, and you can open it from both sides, which is quite handy. But the control board is on the top, so to turn it on and off it's this button here, and it's a flush panel, so you just press and hold and turn it off. Once you've turned it off and you're leaving the van, just leave the door open. You can pull the top little bit out here, which means if you go to shut it, it doesn't shut because it clips onto here, and it means that you're not shutting it, so the air's not going to get trapped and you're not going to start to get a smelly fridge. And then when you're using it, you can turn it on. If you are pre-chilling at home, a few days before, hook the van up, charge your leisure battery, put your fridge on, and then when you, the day before, put your shopping in, allow that to chill overnight. And then when you're ready to drive off, if it's on automatic, it'll automatically switch between the 3 sources by itself, depending on which source it recognises the vehicle's got, and it always prioritises mains 230 volt. So as you can see there, it's on auto, but it's on the picture of the plug because we are hooked up, so it's went to mains 230 volt. If I was to unhook the vehicle now, it would switch over to gas because we've got the gas on and it doesn't detect mains anymore. Or if I was to start the vehicle, it would go to the battery, which isn't off the leisure battery, it's off the engine. When the engine is physically running, it acts like a giant cool box and it'll keep the shopping nice and fresh until you arrive back on site and either hook back up or go to gas. If you wanted to manually select it, however, you can press mode, which is this button here, and you can go through the sources on your own. The only time you'll need to turn it off auto is if you want to go on to gas. Within 20 minutes of turning the engine off, it will not light on gas because it's a safety feature in case you have forgot to isolate your gas supply. So you will need to manually turn it over if you're wild camping. In case you've pulled into the petrol station with it open, you don't want it clicking and igniting next to fumes of petrol. And you've got your temperature gauge here, so when pre-chilling, have it on 5. Once you've put your food in, turn it down, otherwise sometimes it can freeze the food inside the fridge. And once in a while, like I say, just give it a wipe out and leave the door open when not in use so that the air can circulate in and out and you don't come back to the van and it have a funny smell. On your sink you do have a cover so you can use the space when preparing food, or what you can do is you can use the chopping board on the back, or you can put this into here and use it as a shelf and put bits and pieces up here when you're doing the dishes or when you're cooking, or you can put a cookbook on there, whatever you want to do, but that does clip into there when you're not using it. As long as the pump's on, you get a pressurized flow of water, and that's getting up the temperature there, so your hot water system is working as it should. So in the kitchen, it tells you there the pan size, so 16cm pan on this one, 22cm pan in the middle, and then another 16cm pan on the outskirt. Push down and you'll be able to ignite the hobs. Always, if you've had the gas off, bring the gas through on the hob, because the lines will be empty and full of air and you will have to bleed the gas through, and this is the best way of doing it, by pulling it through the hob, and then your other appliances that you want to use on gas should then light because the lines are full of gas. Pushing the catches in, you do have storage cabinets and drawers, one underneath the oven, 2 waste bins, and you do have your gas isolation valves just on top of the cooker there, so any problems with gas, turn the bottle off to be safe. These are mainly for when the vehicle is annually habitation serviced. That's your grill pan. Sticker on the side's got all the information on the oven, so if you ever need any parts, grill pan, oven shelf, oven door, burners, anything like that, just quote us that number, or whoever else you're getting parts through, because they'll have to get the right part for this oven. One grill. There's your oven away. You may just want to take your grill pan out when travelling to stop it rattling or wrap it up. At the back of the vehicle you do have two single beds, and you do have storage in the steps. Wardrobes. Another wardrobe. This infill cushion works, so in a minute I'll show you how to slide this forward, and you can put the infill cushion in here and make a transverse bed across the width of the vehicle. And you do have access to your freshwater tank if you ever want to put any steriliser into the tank. That's your cap there for your fresh water. You can lift both sections up to get access from the wardrobe at the top if you wish. And then if you pull this forward, you can put your infill cushion in here and create the double bed across the width of the vehicle. Mains 230 volt trips are behind the fridge in the bottom wardrobe. So if you're struggling for power, try tripping the vehicle. If the vehicle does trip, you've got mains power. If it doesn't, you're not receiving power, so try where you're connected. And if you trip the vehicle up, try here before you try the main site, as you may have tripped the van out. Sometimes, and most of all, you've tripped the site, but just check before you go and ask the site warden to check the site. In your washroom, to operate the toilet, you press the blue button on the side here, which will give you freshwater flush from your freshwater tank. Put a little bit of water in. Before you use it, you want to open this lever here, which is known as the blade, so slide that to the right. Use your toilet, you'll hear the ventilation system kicked in there because I've opened the blade. Once you've finished, give it a flush. If you have bought any pink liquid, just dilute it in an empty spray bottle, spray the bowl, flush it and close the blade. The toilet will indicate with 3 green lights underneath this diagram of the cassette here when it is full. Toilet roll holder, soap holder, towel holder, toiletry cabinet, some more space for your toiletries underneath the sink. Make sure that your shower screens are all tied in when travelling, and then you'll be able to slide them out and use them when showering. And always make sure that you do not use any harsh chemicals or any bleaches on anything in this washroom, because it's all plastic finish. It's got a shiny plastic finish. So soap, Dettol spray, microfiber cloths, no scourers, nothing to damage the finish, because you will damage the look of the washroom and you'll have to get it all sprayed to make it look good again. On this model you've got a large television there, so that looks like a 32-inch television, which is from Alphatronics. That slides in and out, but you do have to have the music icon on the control panel on to get 12 volt power to your TV. It will turn your head unit on as well, but you can just manually knock your head unit off by pressing and holding the button on the front of the radio. Using your magic remote, you've got a cursor there. You can connect it to Netflix and Amazon Prime, as it's a smart television. And then to retune it, what you've got to do is you've got to go to the settings. You want to go to all settings, which is the 3 dots. Give it a moment and it will load and it'll bring up the main menu. And you want General, Programs, Program Tuning and Settings. You're on antenna, so just make sure it's always on antenna, because that's all you've got on there, a TV aerial, and you want to do an auto tune. Press enter. On antenna, yep. Next. Next. and it'll start to find as many channels as it can in your area. It'll go really quick until it gets to around 50-60%, and then it'll start to bring in your digital TV channels and your radio channels.